Welcome to the Poetry of Light. I'm John Atkins, the resident poet here. I just want to basically introduce you to what it's like to be a poet and how to write a quick poem. So let's get started. There's basically two types of poetry. One which is really kind of strict rhyming scheme, a pattern, a shape. I prefer the more stream of consciousness type of poetry, which is free flowing and which doesn't involve a rhyming scheme. And one of the simplest poems that you can write is a Japanese haiku. So a Japanese haiku is a 3-line, one stanza, one paragraph poem with 5 stresses on the first line, 7 on the second, and 5 on the last line. And you can add another 2 lines to make it into a tanka, which is the same, but just added 2 extra lines of 7 stresses each. Now, the important thing about this type of poetry, as I mentioned before, is a kind of twist to it. So you've all probably seen Shakespearean sonnet, probably done that at school. Shakespearean probably is the most common one, iambic pentameter, di-da, 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 blah, blah, blah. And the last 2 lines rhyme, and it's called a rhyming couplet, and that delivers like another twist to everything. Well, in a tanka, it's midway. It's a definite twist. It's almost like, it's a metaphor, it's sort of twisted around so that you look at something slightly differently, from a different angle, which is, quite interesting, challenging, but it does really enable you to write a little bit extra. And also you've got the title as well. You can add a little extra dimension to the meaning by a title. So you can add all these different nuances and layers to an example of the haiku, which is a tanka basically, which I've written. I was inspired by when I took my boots off after a walk. I just checked there was no I hadn't stepped in any excrement or anything like that, and I was just thinking about how in life you can step in something pretty messy without knowing or realizing at the time, or you can acknowledge something and try and sidestep it or avoid it. But lessons in life, as I have the privilege of looking back at a few more years from my youth, and I've realized that sometimes to go forward in life, to achieve what you really want, your goals, your ambitions, you sometimes have to make compromises. You have to take a few steps back maybe, or sideways or whatever. And in so doing, compromises always have their consequences. So this is a poem that I wrote about such a thing. Inspiration. I wrote it sort of on the basis of having a little drink of my homemade cider cum wine, a small, sort of moderate glass of that, and it kind of all flowed within about 15 minutes. So just to show you that you can write something and a little snippet, like a bit of a diary entry or something like that. But obviously, if you can call it a poem, but you can't call yourself a poet until you've actually got yourself published. But that's the sort of. I'll just read it to you, just to give you an idea, okay, what can be achieved. Okay, so the poem's entitled Soul Searching. You can't avoid stepping on life's detritus. Compromise always carries a distinct stench of regret. So there it is, a short statement, sort of a little entry in your diary. But it's always important to remember that, life, your life is basically only what you can remember. What your memories are. you know, that's what makes you human. That's what makes. But anyway, you guys, just like and subscribe there, and we'll go from here and see how it goes. Okay, bye now. Take care.